Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from Brandon Olmsted's annual Life Day celebration, featuring several dishes of authentic Wookiee cuisine.
Dude, that is why we keep an Allan Gilbreth around. He's got the cookbooks.
I mean,
is it that you cook the Wookiee, or is it that it's Wookiee's cooking?
What?
It's not a lot of cooking. There's a lot of raw meat on this table.
I'm not going to answer any of your questions until you put on your Life Day robe.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like your rule that you insist that we speak Wookiee all day. That's going to get old, man.
Well, you know, it
could lead to confusion.
There's plenty of Listerine in the back. You can always, gargle if you need to.
Wookiee is just normal, common language without the hairball.
Okay.
Actually,
boom.
it's with the hairball.
Oh, well.
Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. That's what's going on in this place today. So
Brandon and Allan got food.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
got food.
It's more a celebration that I don't have to run the show this week.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, I appreciate you guys, taking care of business last week. I'm back. I was in no condition to come in because I had minor surgery, but boy, one laugh and those stitches could have broke.
Yep.
So
don't worry, we wouldn't have been funny.
But anyway, did I introduce everybody? Welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. Broadcasting here on, including Life Day. It's also Christmas Eve, so I mean,
Festivus.
And Festivus. We appreciate you joining us for this holiday. I don't know how much holiday talk we've got today, but whatever.
We can always do some holiday talk, but there are a couple of bits of news and stuff we want to hit on. You've got something you brought into the studio today that we can discuss that could be a Christmas gift for any of your favorite Batman fans.
Okay, let's be honest. Well, I'll get to that in 1 second. So that's okay. So that is a good point because it was sort of a little gift I bought to myself. So Brandon, a little later in the show, this is going to be fun. Brandon is a loyal member of the KISS Army.
Yes, I am.
And my gosh, those guys, in addition to just being world-class musicians, and I'm rolling my eyes. Sorry, Brandon, but
no. I will tell you, I love KISS. I'm never going to say that they're the greatest musical band out there, but they are the greatest showmen on this planet.
They're great showmen, and they're second to none in being able to make money in places nobody else can.
That's true.
And so the future of KISS is begun.
Can't even argue that.
And so we're going to talk about that because now suddenly they retired, and yet they're still going to be making money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we expect nothing less out of Gene.
No. So also, Warner Brothers, there's news that's we're finding sort of amusing is we're kind of sitting back, eating our popcorn, watching the real life drama of Warner Brothers and
I like watching
Paramount.
the world burn.
Yeah, so some people just want to watch the world burn, and we're here to do it.
It's like started packing marshmallows.
Exactly. So, but also, Brandon mentioned it, so I'm going to show you. Well, there's no camera to show it to, but I did. I bought 2 comic books, Brandon.
I know, and I'm proud of you.
So these are a little different, and really what started the whole thing. If you're listening to Geek Tank Radio, you're thinking, well, don't you guys buy comics every week? Aren't you in the comic book shop regularly?
No.
Well, 20 years ago I was, but Brandon, when's the last time you had a pull list or anything?
It's been a long time. It got to the point where I was not wanting to spend $5 for a 22-page comic that was maybe 15 pages of story.
Right.
The investment is no longer there. Especially in the wonderful world of digital,
because you're big into digital.
Yeah,
comics,
it's like,
so.
Hey, I'll wait until a storyline's done and then I'll buy the digital trade. But this was one that kind of flew under my radar because I try to keep up with everything, and I'm just really glad to see that you brought them in.
Well, I saw there was a YouTube trailer, and it's for a title called Batman: The Gargoyle of Gotham. The artist name is very interesting. It's written and illustrated by Raphael Grandpa.
And he's been working in comics for about 15, 20 years now.
Well, his style is very interesting. This is a very unique looking Batman. It's during his early career. It's supposed to be the first year or two of him, which I always like his early pre-Robin stuff.
Well,
I'm not a fan of Robin.
I love the outfit mainly because it looks like a converted flight suit.
It looks very
really awesome.
functional and very different.
Good. I like that.
Cool. But the storyline, I am not disappointed so far. It's like sometimes it's hard to it's kind of hard to do something new with Batman,
Right.
and yet stay grounded. Like, I'm not into. I don't want Batman going to outer space and fighting aliens or something. That sort of defeats the whole point. So keeping Batman in the back alleys and fighting the low lives of Gotham. That's what I like.
You've always been a huge fan of the noir style Batman,
right?
Your classic detective and fisticuffs, which is one of the reasons why Matt Reeves' The Batman appealed to you so much when we first started hearing about it. And they delivered across the board. I'm not saying they didn't, but sometimes you just got to get in there with a nice, good, street-level Batman story where he doesn't have all the gadgets in the world. He still has to actually do some real thinking in the midst of it all. And when it comes down to retelling the origin, there's not a whole lot of new territory to tread, and it looks like they're pulling it off here.
Yeah, they're doing all sorts of new things. And another thing is because the psychology of Bruce Wayne or Batman, however you want to, because we look at him as two entities. We really look at Batman as the real character and Bruce Wayne as the facade. So they get into all of my favorite elements of Batman, and the artwork's very easy to look at, and it's interesting, and the villains are new. It's cool, man, and it's like, I'm not used to that. Now, it is one of the Black Label ones, which, Brandon, that's like their newer, that's sort of the new imprint for this is not for your 8-year-old.
It's their, I won't call it a full-on, like, adults-only style, but it is definitely not for any of your younger readers.
It's a little more violent.
17.
Language is a little harsher.
That's a really good way of putting it.
But I don't feel like they went over the point. They don't make it gratuitously bad.
They did in the very first Batman Black Label book where Bruce was nude in the Batcave, and it's like, I didn't need to see that.
Right. Yeah, they were doing that to sell just for shock value. So yeah. But this one's, I'm pleasantly surprised. So if you're out there and you want to get something a little different, now it's cool too because each of these are 40. Well, I think they're 44 pages each. And something happened when I got these that hasn't happened to me in years in reading. I said, well, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to just leaf through it for a few minutes and then go to bed.
You didn't stop until you were finished with the book.
I wound up reading both of them. It took like over an hour or something, but I couldn't put it down. It was great. I mean, and that's the mark of a good story when something like that happens. So anyway, that's my sales pitch there. Batman, the Gargoyle of Gotham. 2 episodes are out now, and the rest will be coming in the months ahead. Anyway, this is Geek Tank Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the future of KISS.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Drop the racing form and step away from the TARDIS. The Geek Patrol is back.
I was very strategic about that rejoiner because this week we celebrated International Dalek Day of Remembrance.
Wait, what are they remembering? I mean,
Daleks.
Are they gone? I thought they... Okay. All right. I thought Daleks are eternal.
Gone.
So
they're never gone.
It's funny that we have a holiday to commemorate that, and Max had enough time on his hands to dig that up. So.
He's an engineer.
Okay.
It just goes hand in hand.
Well done, Max. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, we had a nice little review of a new Batman comic, The Gargoyle of Gotham. Go by your local comic book store. Check it out. It's really good. I'm very pleasantly surprised with the first 2 issues so far. But Brandon, I found out about this comic book on YouTube, which is where I get pretty much all my news and all my movie things. And
it's also just the greatest place to go down rabbit holes when you're recovering from surgery.
Well, among that, so speaking of that, I was on YouTube, and I mean, KISS is kind of fun, and it's fun to see what they're up to. But apparently, December 2nd was their quote-unquote final ever concert.
Right.
Give me a break. I don't know that I buy it.
Okay. It was their final in-person live concert.
That's what I want to ask you
One
about.
of our local friends, Rodney, the guy who runs the Batcave, went to the show. And I had to go talk to him because he's a huge KISS guy, too.
It was at, Madison Square Garden or something?
And he was just like, he couldn't stop talking. So, of course, we roll into what you want to bring up with. So,
well, I don't know. See, you're a loyal member of the KISS Army. We've watched that movie, the 70s movie.
We did the KISS Meets the Phantom where they have to fight their robot selves in an amusement park. They did kind of an homage to that a couple years back with Scooby-Doo and KISS, and they had an animated feature that was them fighting demons and witches and stuff in an amusement park. But
here's what I couldn't figure out. So I'm on YouTube, and they say the future era of Kiss, and it begins now. And so I watched the video. It's it got kind of boring after a while, but I fast forward to the end. But it said the future of Kiss, and they were sitting in the what do they call that? The volume. Light, what is that? The industrial light, man. It's called the isn't it where they filmed the Mandalorian and everything?
Yeah, they're at ILM. They're
ILM.
And they are they were creating their avatars.
So they were making avatars. So they're saying Kiss concerts in the future are going to be avatars,
full on digital concerts featuring the Star Child, Space Ace, the Catman, and of course Gene's Demon. Yeah. They're going to be larger than life, which will allow Kiss, despite their age, to continue to make new music and still be able to get out there and quote unquote perform without the arthritis and the hours in the makeup chair and the just peeling leather off at the end of the night.
Okay, so what do we think of all this?
I think it's amazing.
Well, it would be worth seeing at least one concert this way.
In the realm of, hologram Tupac showing up, on stage, to the idea of having a Kiss concert 40 years from now when the only one who's still around is Gene because someone has totally done his head like Futurama.
Yeah.
I think it's a great step. I mean,
but we always talk about CG. We always talk about artificial intelligence art and how much we hate all that. And what else?
But that's
this
the
is
thing.
Exactly what this is.
This is not AI. This is digital mocap. This is your typical CGI in its newest form, and it's not like these guys are just going to be like these avatars are going to be doing it on their own. There will be guys in mocap suits that do all the moves across the thing, and then they just kind of broadcast it the same way they do video games nowadays.
Okay. Allan has strong feelings, I can tell.
Well, no, it's not a strong feeling. I remember when Gorillaz, which was nothing but a studio convention, absolute invention, did a live concert, and they did it with hologramic projections onto the screens
because those characters
around the
do
stage.
Not exist at all.
They don't exist. They're studio musicians.
The band Gorillaz, it's 4 members, and they're all inside the mind of one guy.
Yeah. So,
but that's how they were up front, though. I mean, that's like, this is our act. Yeah, if you like it, pay the money.
But they did a live concert with these basically imaginary characters, and it was actually fairly entertaining. They had live musicians on stage. It was kind of like almost an homage to Dick Van Dyke dancing with the Penguins.
And here's what we've got here is that Kiss is taking that step into the digital avatar realm. But imagine all of our favorite bands, they're aging. They're getting to the point where they're not going to be able to do this anymore. And a lot of these modern kids out here, I call them kids because they're younger than me. You think Taylor Swift, you think what's Billie Eilish and all them. These guys are getting attacked on stage by people who want to throw stuff. Imagine if you can walk away from that danger and just have your hologram out there while you're in backstage basically projecting the whole thing.
I don't know, man.
Dude,
that's a weird future. We always talk about live performance,
but it's gotten to the point where
can you still safely do a live performance?
And
come on!
Imagine. Well, no, it's gotten bad. I mean, BB Rexa having to sport a giant knot on her head and a cut under her eye because someone thought it was a good idea to throw a phone at her.
This all kind of reminds me of in Japan the whole idea of Vocaloids.
It's very much in that same vein, Max.
Vocaloids.
We've actually had people do Vocaloid performances at.
I think Anime Blues did them.
Well, we've had them at MCFC.
Oh.
I put them on Saturday morning because it's the closest thing we have to a live action cartoon since we stopped doing the live action cartoon.
Okay, but how much can you charge for this concert? I guess I'm wondering.
That's the thing, though. Of course, when it comes down to it. When you've got someone who's a legacy artist like Kiss, or let's say U2 in the future, or hell, if somebody wanted to do Elvis in a couple of months, you take music that he's already performed and you put it into an avatar style. There are people who love these bands who will continue to pay tons and tons of money to go see them. I mean, people pay $800 for nosebleed seats to see Barbara Streisand. Can you imagine if it's somebody you actually want to see?
Wow.
I'm not going to disagree with you, Brandon.
All right, but also think about being able to bring your production and your show to places where you couldn't go otherwise.
War-torn Somalia need concerts.
Or, you could do benefits or other such in areas where really, honestly, you should not go.
Right.
I don't know, man. The lines are getting blurred here.
Yes,
and,
they are.
We're going to continue to try to focus when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Allan Gilbreth doesn't need Horcruxes. The Geek Patrol is back.
Yeah, that's for sure. So he's going to outlive. You're going to outlast all of us, Allan. So, and I don't want to know how. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. Speaking of longevity, okay, we'll get to that. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And speaking of longevity and things that just won't go away, we've been talking about Kiss because the band supposedly retired, quote unquote, December 2nd. They gave their final performance at Madison Square Garden. However, it was only to announce that they're also beginning a new era where there's going to basically be digital versions of Kiss performing concerts. So you go to a concert hall and there's a hologram, I suppose, of Paul Stanley or, whatever. But here's what I wanted to say about that, you guys, because, I did see the video with where they were showing, what these things look like. They actually look pretty cool, but the thing about Kiss is they're almost like superheroes. Like Gene Simmons' character suddenly had wings, and he's flying around breathing fire. And Peter Criss was like, not Peter, their new drummer,
right?
Floating around, hitting these
it's
things.
still the Catman.
But that's pretty cool. They could, and actually, those guys are getting old, and now so the new Kiss avatars could actually be almost. It would be a big theatrical production. Well, that's different than watching, like you said, a digital. An AI version of Barbra Streisand singing her. So
and just
Kiss might be able to pull this off. I don't know that everybody can do this.
And that's one of the things. Let's just talk about Gene Simmons himself for a minute.
Okay.
There is not a single thing in this world that Gene can't find a way to market. Gene has an amazing capitalist brain.
You can get a Kiss coffin.
Yes, you can. And with and without musical accompaniment, versions. It's whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But you think about it, they've also always been willing to step in and touch base with, the as technology has grown. If you've ever seen the performances from Psycho Circus, their entire digital backdrop was, CGI circus.
Yeah.
And now if they wanted to resurrect some of the songs from Psycho Circus, they could turn the entire stage into a full-on digital circus with the avatars. But this is just step one. Once Kiss has, got it down, imagine being able to go and watch, say, Disney goes, hey, we see what we're doing here. Let's do an entire digital Avengers stage show. Where, it's like,
because they do versions of that now.
Right.
Have seen,
but now you can do it without having to worry about, like with Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, where your Peter Parker got injured 4,000 times and you had stagehands and grips and all who were constantly in danger because of the stunts they were trying to pull off. Imagine being able to do that on a digital base. You're still going to entertain the masses.
I don't know.
And they're going to and
it's still a future though where these things are replacing people performing.
Well, no, these things are replacing people on stage. They still have to have that human element in the mocap suit at the studio who records this to begin with.
Okay, I don't know.
The movie Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
the movie Avatar. There's now the technology that Gene Simmons is talking about has now been fully developed. And we could put Brandon in an Avatar suit, and how Brandon looks in the Avatar suit running around the little Avatar foam gymnasium. Brandon is now, when you put on the Avatar goggles, Brandon is now Brandon the giant, Iron Giant, smashing mountains, running around, but it's still Brandon.
I guess the true test is just going to see when these concerts are going to start and how many tickets are going to sell.
And let's just be honest.
We don't know.
Pixar.
Yeah.
Well, let's go way back. Christopher Walken's Brainstorm was all about digital.
Nobody wants to go back to Brainstorm.
I know, but it was still digital information.
You want to do Brainstorm, you got to bring the Cinemassacast in.
Oh,
or I guess Grind City Movie Madness. They can handle that.
All right.
I don't want to watch Brainstorm again.
Well, we don't want to turn the whole thing into a Kiss propaganda, but this is worth following because this is new. This is really
going to be a lot
revolutionary.
bigger than Kiss.
Yeah, this is.
Okay.
They may be the first ones that are stepping out there and saying this is what we're going to do, but watch how many people follow suit, especially if you've got artists who, for whatever reason, can't be out there.
Yeah.
Whether it be from death, illness, just age.
Tool Talk Radio's broadcast live.
Nobody.
Seriously.
Nobody.
The three of us could be in an interview here in the studio.
Nobody is going to pay.
And avatars. I didn't say they were paying.
I was going
to
say nobody's. No, what I'm saying is nobody's paying the money to create our avatars.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Anyway, we're going to be following this with great interest. So,
it ain't gonna happen.
The future of Kiss is still on the move. But Brandon, let's shift gears because this was sort of amusing. You said I guess the Warner Brothers and Paramount were they in serious talks about merging? Because a lot of people are like, why would
these are two companies that the people in charge and various experts say they could totally benefit each other if they merged and became one. The problem is that while experts say that they would benefit one another, financial experts are coming out and going, nobody wants this. Look at what happened with the stock when the first rumors from Axios came out that these guys were meeting to talk about a merger. Both of their stocks dropped that day, and they didn't work their way back up to where they started for the day. So it's really going to be one of those, we've talked about it before, some men just want to watch the world burn. It's honestly, in my opinion, it is the greatest line from any of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
It is a good line.
And because it truly tells you the mindset of a Gothamite. I mean, it just does.
I'm curious, just playing devil's advocate, somebody out there will go, well, why is this a bad idea?
Right.
I can think of a lot, but Brandon, why is this bad?
The reason that this is a bad idea is you already have a lot of creatives who do not want to work with Warners at this point because of the way that they, they'll give you all this money, you put your heart and soul into something, and then they go, you know what, we can make more money if we put it on the shelf.
Right.
And
they scrap your movie.
They scrap your movie.
That, yeah.
And you got paid for it, sure. That's all well and good. But
you got paid to make entertainment, not
you didn't
make a private
show.
You
didn't benefit
you
either.
You weren't making a product. You were making an experience.
Yes.
And unless you've ever been a creative, you don't understand that.
Yeah, but also...
And that's why David Zaslav is... He looks at it from the financial standpoint. And I'm not going to say he doesn't have a mind for numbers. He does. But he does not respect the creative. And if you put him... you're going to lose a lot of good stuff that's coming through from Paramount right now. But we'll touch on that.
And there's a lot of collateral damage that affects actors, producers, and directors, too. That's not good. So we're going to talk about that when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Warning, Romulan ale has been known to cause diarrhea. The Geek Patrol is back.
I got to start writing some new rejoiners. But anyway... I mean, this is well established, Max. We all know that. We've all experienced the pain of that information. But,
and here's the thing about you writing new rejoiners. We have a comedian in our back pocket that can totally write some that will surprise even you.
It's my one joy in life, Brandon.
I know,
anyway.
But get him to help you so that, sometimes... you already know what's coming.
Okay. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody.
I'm gonna interrupt again, guys out there in the really real world. If you've ever seen Joe seriously, laughing at something, it's an amazing thing, and we don't get that here.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And we never miss an opportunity to bash on Warner Brothers situation. and when you were off the air, you were talking to me, Brandon, about I was asking why Warner Brothers merging with Paramount is a bad thing. But I wanted to just mention something because you talked about David Zaslav, and how he's he might understand numbers, but the guy does not understand building goodwill or all the dynamics at play when you're making art, especially film or television, of all the fallout that happens when you do something like take the Batgirl movie that's almost completed and just scrap it. Well, Brandon, all those people they want to be discovered. This actress that played Batgirl, these are careers that he's actually destroying, because how do you get seen if you're a producer or an actor? And now your stuff's on the shelf. Even if you got paid for it, there's a lot of things that it still hurts.
I'm gonna take a step back for just a few weeks here on Geek Tank when we were talking about Coyote versus Acme.
Right. Oh, that's another one.
So he wants this shelved. This isn't going to make any money. First off, it's a Looney Tunes movie.
How did that not make money?
All right. I know that Space Jam 2 was bad, like uncharacteristically bad, but it still made money. Looney Tunes, I mean, you got John Cena, Wile E. Coyote. These are two people who are going to they're going to put butts in seats. It's just the way it works. And they decide, no, we're going to shelve it. And then people are outraged because this movie is done. It's done test screenings. It's extremely popular. It's scoring in the 90s. They go, all right, well, we'll shop it around. They were only going to make $30 million off of shelving it. But now they are wanting someone to recoup not only the full budget, plus up to 20 to 25% on top of that in order to secure it. When most of the people who are going, all right, we'll buy it, we'll put it out there. These are most of them are just streaming services that are going to put it out there because they know people want it.
Yeah,
and they are going, we'll pay you what you would have gotten. They're going to keep it shelved because of the fact they're not willing to take the money that they were going to make for shelving it anyway, or a little bit higher from a studio, because of the fact. I mean, at this point, it's spite.
Yeah,
it can't be anything but spite.
Mm. Yeah, there's something wrong over there, man. So,
and I'm going to say this. David Zaslav's met with Bob Bakish from Paramount. He wants Paramount's catalog, not for anything that would benefit HBO Discovery or Warner Brothers Discovery. He wants it so that he can build his quote unquote media empire, his catalog, so that in the summer next year, when someone's looking at Warner's, he can get a good benefit to sell off Warner Brothers, Paramount, Discovery, whatever the giant conglomeration is, get his golden parachute so he never has to work again. He doesn't care about the creative. He doesn't care about the IP. This is a guy who made his money off of Flip or Flop, which is about whether or not someone can sell a refurbished house.
You know what you make me think, Brandon? So, the perception I get is just the everyman that's out here in the world. I get the perception that all of the content that comes to us from Hollywood is basically the decisions of what it's like. There's like 10 guys out there.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that dictate more or less everything we get and how we're going to get it and what we're going to pay for. I feel like I'll give you a good view of it. Aquaman made over $1 billion. The first one. Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah.
The Aquaman sequel, one of the biggest complaints that are coming out, people are having fun with the movie, but one of the biggest complaints that people are having about that movie is the fact that you can tell where the studio had them cut things and or reshoot things. Because you can see James Wan stuff, and it's really fun, and it's very much Aquaman. And then you see other things, and it's where some marketing exec goes, we like it when he acts like a drunk surfer dude. Bring that back. I know he grew up by the end of it, but let's bring that back.
Oh,
so it makes it like
regressing.
Yeah. It's the Tony Stark scenario from the MCU, where people want the smarmy Tony, so we never get any real character growth with Tony until Spider-Man Homecoming and then Endgame and all that. So, it's like everything that Tony grows into, they take it away for the next movie. The same they did with Magneto in all of the Fox movies.
Right.
Every lesson that Magneto learns through any of that disappears by the time we get another sequel.
And it sounds like that's what went wrong with the first Justice League movie. You almost felt like you were watching two movies. You're like, okay, this is one tone, the other one is another tone.
You could tell the parts that were Zack Snyder, and you could tell the part that were Joss Whedon, and they did not mesh.
No. Okay, so now, is there a danger when you're Zaslav to be having these public conversations and these pitches, and everybody was saying it's a bad idea, their stock went down? Well, doesn't that just make their company weaker and look worse?
He doesn't care because he gets his money one way or the other. He's guaranteed
Can't
a salary.
Can't they get rid of him? I mean,
well, not when you're that high up. It takes a lot of the board, and as long as they've got money coming in, they don't care what fails in the lower levels.
I don't know. Part of me doesn't care if Hollywood burns, but at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of people's careers that are affected, and I like when Warner Brothers makes good movies.
Well, there's two horrible sides to this coin, and neither one of them's good. Mm-hmm. One, you stay the course, in which case we keep getting influenced product.
Influence media.
I'm going to go back to Netflix when they picked up a few shows, made the whole show with no test audience, put the entire season out, and you got a pure product.
Daredevil season 1.
Bingo.
Great
That
show.
was probably the best one of the bunch.
Yeah.
And you really got to be amazed. The flip side of the coin is you stay the course all the way to the bitter, burning end.
Yeah.
And welcome to media and the fact that there are thousands of people waiting on you to burn.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's so well. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, we follow the world and we just report what we see. But it's time to get out of here, you guys. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I'm Brandon Olmsted, hoping that we don't burn along the way.